Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life show. And when you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? I know we all do. It's been pre programmed into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's create some chronic health into our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and joining me in California is Minna.
Speaking about chronic, I see my team once a year in person. This is the festive holiday party thing. So I was talking to a lot of people that I only talk to them once a year, and every year they seem to have more. Either they themselves have more chronic conditions,
Mhm.
or their family has chronic conditions, and everyone here seems so stressed out because of health issues.
And I'm starting to see that at some of my friends, and they're talking about their families also. That recently, in the last couple of years, they're just struggling with, you know, mobility issues, declining mental issues, and all I can say it's sort of coincidental. It's happening in the last couple years, and I think people really need to be a little bit more aware of what's going on, a little bit more aware of their body and what you can do to restore some of these functions, to actively do something to regenerate your body, not just trying to eat healthy and exercise. There's so much more you need to do.
Right, and even though on the outside they look fine, like kind of, but they are tired and they look puffy. They are just walking with a little bit of a limp on one side or something like that. And if you talk to them, everyone has something. It's like they are our age, right? Like
Hmm.
40s, 50s kind of thing. So they really shouldn't be sick.
I agree, and once again, everyone's getting sick every week, right? I suppose that I had some friends supposed to meet me, and he says, "Yeah, I got the worst flu ever. I'm coughing. I got headaches, and now I just got my. He just texted me, hey, I guess we can meet up. I just got my whole family sick, right? So definitely, I think this is one of those things that you should really start being aware of and try to think of ways or reach out to people that can help you boost your health, your immune system, because it really, I honestly believe is our immune systems are compromised, and we're gonna have to do some things to boost the immune system back to pre-pandemic levels, where you catch something, you get stronger from it, not weaker from it.
And also be careful when you hear everybody around you is sick. You find of feel like that's normal, even though it's not really normal. So when your whole circle of friends is getting these chronic diseases, you almost feel like you're fitting in because you also have these of these sicknesses or pains and stuff. But you have to get out of that circle somehow and figure out what does your circle of friends or circle of people should look like.
Exactly, exactly. So that's what we experienced back in California. But it's been nice. It's been 3 years since we came back. Like, what are your thoughts, Mina?
Well, I have I have strategy meetings with my team, and one of the things about what they talk about next year is how do they want what do they want for come in 2024. And one of them says, I want to build more intentional relationships with my family. That includes her like mother and siblings and nephews and nieces. And I thought that's a good start. But why don't you build intentional relationships with your neighbors, with other people that's around you, that is not just your family? Because you know what, sometimes you need more support than just family. And honestly, family is a hit and miss.
I agree. I would have to say probably 90% of the time what we do, our family don't support until they come around much later, right? So family definitely is hit and miss. Sometimes finding support from friends that have similar visions and goals is definitely better support than family.
For sure. And I do get that, especially, you know, people that we hang out with, they have a lot of empathy, they feel for them. And when we talk about everybody's being chronically sick or the family being chronically sick, you also feel for them. But one of the best advice I got from Marie Folio
Hmm.
is when you have this kind of conversation is that you observe, but you don't absorb it,
Hmm.
right? You listen to them, you be empathetic, you tell them that you're sorry about that, But you cannot absorb that energy into you, because otherwise, you know what? When you absorb all that around all the people around you, that kills you.
I agree. We always talk about, energy, and, our next guest is having some problems with the energy of her laptop trying to sign on. Hopefully we can get her on. But, we always talk about negative energy and positive energy. And of course, if being empathetic is great, right? Because of course we're going to feel, for them. But you don't want to absorb that negative energy. Because once you absorb that negative energy, now you're going to be attracting more negative energy. And that's really what you don't want. So if you're feeling sorry for them getting sick, guess what? Now you don't want to absorb that energy being getting sick, and then now you're getting sick, right? Just because they're feeling sick doesn't mean you'd have to be sick.
Oh, for sure. So, when you're talking about relationships, just be very intentional of who you're building that relationship with. Is that person fit into your visions, your goals, your life dreams?
Exactly. And then what about, what's your thoughts on social media nowadays with your
You
relationship
know,
building?
and I think it's one of those things that start up as a good idea, try to keep people in the loop, so we are all like we all know each other. But I think it's been taken past its usefulness a little bit,
Hmm.
right? In the sense that there are people that have hundreds and thousands of friends, which really aren't friends. You talked about it, right? If we're in town and we can't stay in your house, we're not really friends.
Yeah, it was really quite interesting. It's one of the things I always talk to people, and they're always bragging. Well, I hit my friends limit on Facebook. And I was saying, you hit your friends limit on Facebook? It's like, are these all your friends? Yeah, they're my friends. They love what I post. And I was saying, well, a friend on your Facebook is, you tell them, hey, I'm going to be in town. How are things? And any of your friends that are truly your friends, they'll offer for you to just crash at their house. Right. And as soon as I was telling, some of my friends in California, one of my friends reached out and she says, hey, I'm out of town. Normally, you can crash at my place if I'm in town, but I'm out of town. But if you guys need a place to stay, come on over. You can stay at the house, you can use my car. Like, that is a friend in my book, right?
She is a good
Like, she
friend.
really goes out of her way to welcome us into her house even when she's not here.
And
Like,
she trusts us.
exactly.
Yeah.
But how many of your friends out there is willing to do that? Right? To me, it's like, it's not about the number of friends you have, it's not the quantity, but the quality, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that, because you have a lot of friends around you, that you're popular, and it kind of works against you.
Hmm.
When you have this many friends to manage, you cannot have the few really good quality friends that you need in your life. So rather than focus on quantity, maybe focus on quality of your relationships.
Exactly. And then, like, we came back, I met a bunch of friends, I met some clients that become really good friends. And, we met a couple that's been a really good friend of mine. And I think it really comes down to, when you're choosing your friends, like Minna says, choose the ones that have common visions, common goals. Like, everyone could be a friend, but the ones that have common goals or visions looking into the future, how you live, how you eat, what life's going to be 10, 15 years from now, it's definitely going to help you much along the way, than rather than just being friends of everyone and just trying to be the cool guy or the cool girl in the group, right?
You know what's funny though? When we first moved, everyone is asking me, "So do you have family in Texas? Is that why you moved?" I'm like, no, we're just gonna make really new friends.
Exactly. And, our friends there are very different than, all the friends here in the Bay Area. Like, we've been here for 20 years in the Bay Area back
Mhm.
then, and now we've been in Texas for 3 years. But in the 20 years in the Bay Area, I think 90% of our friends were Asian, right? And I think now, since we gone to Texas, I think we have two Asian friends, technically, maybe three, total of three, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But definitely not 90%, maybe 1%,
Well,
2%.
now we get the true grasp of what diversity means, because like
Exactly.
where we live, people come from over 100 different countries. They speak different languages, but they all speak English, so we can communicate. And but they all have their own traditions. They have their
Hmm.
own little customs that they brought with them, and I think that's really interesting.
Exactly. And it's like you said, it's like everyone's slightly different. Listen a little bit more, see what vibes with you. I think that's so important, right? It's like, listen to what they like, listen to what vibes with you, and then you're gonna start understanding, is those the people you want to be around with more, or maybe just be around with just for the hour, right? We have friends that, hey, I can hang out with them for an hour to have a bunch of laughs, and that's it. That's all I can handle. And then, of course, there are the friends that it feels like we've been together and time has never passed, right? You just keep on talking, right? So I think it's really important how you build your relationship with your friends.
Yeah, so for the coming year, think about what kind of people you want to spend more time with, because the people that are surround you will support you and bring you up and, push you to the next level, whatever your goal might be. And just focus on those people that you want to build relationships with.
Exactly. I think the coming year is going to be important for friendships and relationships, but we'll be right back with more. Hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy later years with energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies show signs of things just aren't the same as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing recovery time, and sleep all go downhill. If you had physical trauma that happened to your body like I did, this happens much faster. I felt like a 30-year-old trapped in an 80-year-old body. But do you remember as kids the boundless energy we had, how fast we recovered? This is not because of getting old, but because of active stem cells inside our bodies. These are the cells that can generate and regenerate all the cells and structures in the human body. They are the building blocks of our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an innate repair system everywhere inside the body. But as we get older, stem cell activity slows down, become less effective in repairing damage, and decline. By the age of 20, we only have 1 billion stem cells left. By 30, they decline by 60%. By 50, they decline by 75%. 60 by 9%. And by 80, we're lucky to have 50 million active stem cells. But what if we can naturally stimulate our bodies to reactivate and regenerate new stem cells through phototherapy without drugs? Now we can with our LifeWave X39 stem cell activation patches. Reclaim your youth and look younger, feel stronger, perform better, and heal faster. Get your patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. It's not anti-aging, it is reverse aging.
Hi, everybody. For today's Kids Corner, I wanted to talk about just chilling out and relaxing during the holidays. I've been talking to a lot of parents. They are just out of their minds. And what I'm seeing is that the kids are out of their minds too. So I started thinking about the things that I remember from my childhood. I don't really remember the presents I got. What I do remember is when we went sledding and we just got wet and rolled off and silly, and then we came home and had hot chocolate, or the going ice skating, or going down when we lived in San Diego to Balboa Park and enjoying the festivities. That's what I remember. And I think many, many, many people, if you think back, the things you remember are those moments. So that downtime is going to benefit all of us in so many ways. And let's take the focus off of running and rushing and preparing and buying and scrambling and then collapsing exhausted, and put it on just enjoying and being present, because being present with kids is everything. For whether you're a teacher or a parent, it's everything. So that's what I'm going to do. I encourage everyone to do the same and just take a breath and enjoy. Okay, ciao for now, everyone.
Welcome to Chronically Healthy Life. So in our biohacking segment today, let's talk about this, which is garlic. You probably have seen it. You probably know what it is. It has a very distinctive flavor. So a lot of different cultures use it for cooking. Italians use it in the pasta and just pasta sauces. Asians like to use it in the stir fry. What you may not know is garlic has a lot of health properties. In fact, back in the really old days, Hippocrates, which is like the father of medicine, he used to prescribe garlic as a treatment for abdominal and uterus growths. It has a high level of potassium, phosphorus, zinc. Cats don't like it, and neither do vampires. Sit down, Patches. Garlic is also a very powerful antioxidant, and it also helps reduce inflammation. It reduces cancer risk because it actually has something to do with the free radicals, decreasing cell proliferation and tumor growth. It is also antifungal, antibacterial. It protects your heart health. It lowers your blood pressure. It lowers the risk of metabolic syndromes like diabetes. And it also protects your bones and skin. So it's got a lot of benefits. I know you might not want to, kiss people after you eat it, but it has a lot of health benefits. So, make sure you have this in your diet. And, to eat this, you can just, do it in your stir fry. Some people roast it and then put it in the food. You can also crush it and stir fry it or whatever it is that you do with the sauces. You can crush it and store it in oil, so you can do it in batches and you can, take it back out and use it later. Or some people actually ferment it and turn it into black garlic, which is even higher antioxidant values. And if you don't really want to handle garlic, you can do garlic pills, which would have the similar health properties. You just don't cook with it. Now, this one is, I think we let it sit too long, so I'm probably going to grow this. But other than that, we're going to eat this, and so should you. Until next time.
Hey everyone, this is Christy Boyd Johnson of the Barefoot Learning Club. It is a sad fact that today politics have completely taken over the schools. Real learning has been sacrificed for political agendas. As a result, kids are not learning to read. We have second and third graders barely reading, except for those lucky kids who will read no matter what the schools do to them. Unfortunately, that is not the majority. When I was teaching, I watched how really good reading systems were systematically eliminated from the schools. I saw kids shutting down and believing that they were too dumb to learn. Worse still, by making reading unattainable, they are essentially stealing our kids' futures. So the rebel that is me went on a quest to find reading programs that really work, that work with our neurological systems to enhance and speed up the learning process. And the number one thing that needs to happen is that we have to teach our kids to read. That is why Alicia and I started the Barefoot Learning Club. We are giving everyone the opportunity to learn to read in a way that is simple, fast, and fun. Best of all, your kids will start having success and never again believe that they are too dumb to learn. Go to barefootlearningclub.com now and sign up. Join me in being a rebel and let's get our kids reading. If they can read, they can literally do anything. Hello and welcome back to the to the Chronically Healthy Life show. Where am I? I'd like to welcome our guest today, Julianne Ford. She experienced a childhood trauma that many children experience, which is discovering she had dyslexia at a time when it wasn't well known, and how to cope with it wasn't well known. So it was very difficult for her to deal with this, and it kind of settled emotionally into her soul. So kudos to Julianne. She sought out ways to heal the trauma. And the turning point occurred for her when an emotion code practitioner helped release the emotions and revealed her untapped potential. Ooh. Now she's passionate about guiding others on their healing journey. Welcome, Julianne.
Thank you, Christy. How are you? Welcome. I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if I could do the show without you.
Oh, well, I love talking about energy healing because everything is energy, which a lot of people aren't aware.
Right.
But let's just dive right in. And yes. I have a question for you. I would like to know, how can we tell when we need energy healing? What shows us that?
Oh gosh. Just that feeling of stuck, like you want to do something but you're unable to, or you feel just kind of unmotivated, or you keep repeating the same old patterns and routines over and over again. And maybe you even have physical symptoms, or you start talking angry at yourself, because we tend to talk really harsh to ourselves, but we would never talk to anybody else that way. So why is that happening? So there's a layer there that kind of is an imbalance, or something, there's an old program, or there's something that's happening in our mind that, we are maybe unworthy of success or a relationship, or we have limiting beliefs, or we feel very just unfulfilled. Here, I'm trying to get there we go. Now you can see me a little better.
Yeah, we can
and
see you.
and it's just like, I always had this drive of feeling like there was more to my life, but I just didn't know how to move forward. So I kept going up that hill and then rolling back down, and staying in that same rut, not able to get out of that.
Mm. That I think that a lot of people can relate to that.
Hmm.
And that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right.
Not going to happen.
Not. No. No. And so what do you do?
Yeah, that's a very good point. You
Yeah.
know, that I think that's so true. I know for me, it's like when I start realizing I'm repeating a pattern, time to really dig deep and so energy healing is actually pretty easy. People think, I think counseling has made us believe we have to spend years doing therapy on ourselves, when in fact energy healing is much much easier
It
and
is.
works better.
It does. It does. It gets right to that root cause. It gets right down to the answer, because we have all the answers within us. If you
Hmm.
believe in a higher self, your subconscious and your unconscious mind has all the answers, but it also plays tricks on us, because it will tell us a story that is untrue, and then we have to figure out what the truth is again. And so we just go in this cycle of, how are we going to manifest a different life? And I've been through therapy, most of my childhood, and I had more results faster in the first 6 months of energy healing than I ever had. I'm like, if I had that back in grade school, I probably would have had a different path. But, this is the path God chose for me. And here I am, and I'm grateful for it. But the journey, it's all in the journey. It's all in how we perceive things and how we interpret what's going on around us. And so it's just a matter of finding our own truth.
Hmm. Well, I that was my former life as a teacher. I was a resource teacher and I worked with kids with, I hate calling them learning. I
Yeah,
like learning differences rather than learning
I love
disabilities.
that. I love that. Yeah.
It's not, I don't, I would tell my kids it's not a disability. We have to figure out a different way. It's like building a wheelchair ramp. We
Hmm.
wouldn't expect a kid in a wheelchair to go up the stairs. So we
Right.
figure out another way. It's just different.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah. So for you, um, did how did you cope? I mean, I know how that settles in emotionally with the kids. You probably started thinking you were stupid, that you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do it, that
Mm-hmm.
there was something wrong with you,
Mm-hmm.
experienced a lot of anger and frustration, and turned it on yourself.
Right. Right. Exactly. Everything. Because it was like, I was listening to what you were saying and earlier, and it's just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, we have to sit down and talk, because because I'm like, there's so many things that you said that I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that, where we could learn. When I was in grade school and they found out that I learned differently, they didn't know how to teach me. And so
Mhm.
therefore they started labeling me as unlearnable.
Mm.
And and they told me I would never learn a second language, and I would never, my life would always be difficult and things like that. And so that put me in massive depression, massive anxiety, and it took a toll on my whole just well-being. It was really difficult to navigate what the truth was. It was just like, my parents are doing the best they can. They are creating an environment where they feel like they're being very supportive, and they were, but I believed everybody else
Yep.
because that was the massive, and they all were saying the same thing. And then kids just bullied me all through school. It was hard. But in the same token, it made me really strong in some areas because I was able to really pull out some really creative things to handle the situation.
Mhm.
And my creativity and my dreaming and my imagination was I was living in an imaginary world because the real world was really hard. But at the same token, it's like, well, that's not that's good, it's a safety zone, but at the same token, it's like I'm still digging that hole because I'm not getting out of that or removing myself or just peeling off that label. It
Mhm.
took it took 50 years for me to pull that label off.
Yeah, it's it's a real thing, and it's not any better now. It seems better on the outside, but it's really not.
Right, right. Oh,
So,
excuse me.
well, I
I'm gonna
know that I have many teacher friends. I used to do this, and I have teacher friends that we practice things like mindfulness and meditation in the classroom, and just to
oh,
center everybody, and the kids love it.
yes. I wish they would
They,
do that all the time.
yeah. Some of us were there,
Yes.
doing things like that
Yes.
because of the trauma. The trauma does settle into your tissues.
Mhm.
And we have all had it. We've all had some form of childhood trauma. There's no getting around it. Some worse than others,
Right.
and different, whatever the form is, it
Mhm.
trauma happens.
Yeah, it's bound to. It's
Yes.
unfortunate. And yeah.
So let's talk about the emotions, because I think it's our emotions that
Mhm.
we can overthink anything,
Oh my
which
word.
just takes us into spin. But when we get in touch with our emotions, that's where we start to get
Right.
clearer. So
Yeah.
let's talk about, how did that help you, digging into your emotions, and how can
Well,
that
it
help?
was it was very scary, to be honest, because when I was going through, I didn't even know how I didn't really know how I was feeling. I didn't know. I didn't have a label. I didn't have words for it. I just felt unworthy, shame, guilt. I just felt unloved, unheard, unseen. and and I literally walked around invisible. I just said I'm just going to be invisible, and I could walk in a room and not one person would notice that I was there. And if I talked to somebody, they wouldn't even respond to me. It was just the strangest thing. And I was just like, so I internalized a lot of stuff, and I cried a lot. And it was when I realized, when I had the best high school English teacher. She was the best teacher, and she taught. I grew up in Northern Illinois and went to a school in Evanston, and it was on the edge of the campus of Northwestern University. And my teacher, she taught at Northwestern also, and so she was teaching. And she's like, please come to the school, and I want you to talk to my students so that they can see and hear from you the other side of it. because they're going to teach the children. But if they know how you're feeling and they can see it and talk with you, it's going to make them a better teacher. And I was just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But
Definitely.
it was hard, but they were very attentive and they were very caring, and they were like just, embracing everything and making me feel very special. And I came out of there going, well, maybe there's something different happening. Maybe there's something going on that, I think back now, I'm like, every stage and every situation we're in is a learning experience. And if we rush through that experience and not reflect on the learnings, like what are we supposed to learn from this? We might end up repeating the same pattern, repeating that same feeling, or are we going to learn from it so that we can grow? And that's what they were teaching me. They were teaching me just by their empathy for me is like, I felt heard and I was seen for the first time. And then my teacher's like, you're going into drama. And so I went into drama at school and ended up getting a drama award and standing on stage by myself doing a whole skit. And I was just like, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. And not to say that things weren't, I mean, things were okay, but I shoved a lot of those emotions down just so that I could cope daily.
Mhm.
And then things have a way of surfacing. And so over time, life started pelleting me with different triggers. And some of those old feelings and those old emotions and those limiting beliefs. And I started talking really down and angry to myself again. And I,
Mm.
like, what is going on? And being
Mhm.
an emotion code practitioner and understanding that we have layers of emotions, and when we are ready to let go and release those emotions, that's when they surface. And we just have to allow ourselves to let those emotions go, reflect on them, but don't stay in that moment with it. Don't keep analyzing those emotions or those feelings, being aware of those feelings, and then just kind of like you said, meditating and just being like, I don't have to carry that around anymore.
Mm.
And Christy, I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulder. And when those emotions and those feelings and even generational stuff that I was carrying around was released, I felt so light and just so like, what? I'm like, what just happened? And it was just like a whole new experience. And then I had to do a lot of work, to keep things going. It wasn't just release them and I'm like, okay, ready to go. I still had work to do on myself, reflection, pouring love into myself because I didn't love myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what love meant. I didn't know what feelings of security felt like because I didn't feel safe anywhere. I just put myself in a bubble and I just went on my merry way. And it was just, those different situations that come up that we realize, or that I realize that, it's time for, I love personal development now. I just love it. It's like, okay, I just dive right in and I'm like, but yeah, sorry, I go off in
Yeah.
tangents.
Oh, and I know. I think that's really, really true. Those trapped emotions
Mhm.
can, I think many people don't realize that the cause of many illnesses is
Mhm.
actually those trapped emotions. That it's not always, yes, the food and the air and the water and everything, but also, we don't realize how much we just put on ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Take it on, and we're carrying, like you said, the weight of the world. I'm very familiar with that paradigm.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And it's
realizing oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, and realizing some of those emotions weren't even mine, that I was carrying other people's emotions,
Mm-hmm.
that I was carrying the those kids and the teachers' emotions and the people who rejected me, I was carrying those emotions. And it's like if you hold unforgiveness, or if somebody stops talking to you or ignores you, and it really, really upsets you, and you just are in that moment and frustrated and things like that, the other person is living their life and they're moving on and they're happy and joyful, and they really don't, they're not even like aware of what they're doing, or maybe they are. But we put ourselves through so much trauma because we want to know why they're not talking to us. What did we do wrong? And what can I change to make different? Why is this happening? And things like that. And it's like once we realize that, we tend to beat ourselves up or put so much pressure on ourselves, like you said, and we start creating a story.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start, you know, like, oh wow, that must be true. And then we live in that story. And then we really believe that story. And then it starts showing up, you know, physically, like in our body movement, the way we talk, the way we hold ourselves. We get angry, bitter, we talk just nasty at times, but that's not even us. That's
Mm-hmm.
not even us. We're carrying on whatever their junk is and saying, "Oh, you're upset with me, but let me carry that. I'm going to hold on to that. And I'm going
Yeah.
to be the one that's burdened. I'm going to be burdened by that."
Yeah. Or we assume that they're angry at us, but it's really just we're projecting on them from our own
Right.
depression or frustration or anger
Right.
or whatever. And
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And it's
that's
like they say, whatever you put out there is going to come back. And so if you put out that you're angry or you're mad, or you feel invisible, that's the energy you're projecting. And so people they're going to be in tune to that energy, and you're going to get exactly what you put out
yeah,
there. And
yeah.
I
The
don't think a
mirror.
lot of people realize that really that energy can really either propel you in one direction of abundance, manifestation, success, wealth, creativity, whatever. And then the other direction, you're just going down a rabbit hole.
Mhm. I have this thing I do. I've been doing this for quite a while because I don't know how it became a thing for me, but I started every time I go in anywhere, with it's the grocery store or the gas station, the person next to me at the pumps or whatever it is. I always go, "How are you doing today? Doing okay?" And
That's
most of the time, people are like, "What?"
right.
Like shocked. And then they like brighten up and go, "Oh," and then every once in a while someone starts dumping all their crap on you, like, "Oh well, I had to blah, 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 blah."
Yeah. You're like, well, I hope your day's better.
Yeah. I usually try to figure out something to say to lighten them up a little bit. But my point is that so much of the time that they start, especially something like a checker at the grocery store, they're just going through this constant thing and passing people through an assembly line, and then nobody just talks to them, nobody looks at them, nobody acknowledges them, and
Hmm.
it can get pretty, like you said, you can start to feel pretty invisible.
Yeah.
And so I just started deciding that I was just gonna do that. And I've had people say, you're the nicest person I've met in the store all day today. And I think to
Oh,
myself, how sad is that?
yeah. Yeah.
It's so, yeah, the kindness thing is a big deal.
It
It's a big
is. It
deal
is.
because,
Just recognizing somebody, complimenting them,
yeah,
smiling at them,
yeah.
you know. And smiling is, people say, they walk around like so grumpy, but if you smile at them, they tend to smile back.
Mhm.
And then their whole demeanor sometimes changes or they just go back to being grumpy. It's
Yeah,
like,
right?
but like you just
Well,
keep moving on.
exactly. It's and that, and the more you heal your own energy, the easier it gets to let their grumpiness wash off you
Right.
and not take it on. But you said the emotion code healing. I'd really like to know, like, how many steps does emotion code go through for the healing process? Is there a
It
4-step process or something like that?
Well, it all depends on what's going on, what is like, for instance, for me, it wasn't, I'm going to do 6 hours of treatment or 6 hours of sitting and talking with somebody. It was, first of all, I was in physical pain. And so it's identifying the imbalances that are going on in my body or in somebody else's body. And so, I have clients that I work with that I'll work with them for 10 weeks or I'll work with them for a year. And it all depends on what is going on and how much stuff they're carrying. And there's a lot of things that, our emotions will affect our health
Mm.
and it will create physical symptoms. And so, one thing that I was experiencing was I had some sort of abdominal pain going on where I would be just walking and then this pain would hit and I would hit the ground and I would be in so much pain. And I'd go to the emergency room or go to the doctor and they're like, nope, we can't find anything wrong. But it was all emotional. It was all emotional in my gallbladder. There were trapped emotions in my gallbladder. My gallbladder was imbalanced. It was unhappy. It was an angry, sad gallbladder. And when those emotions were released and there was my gallbladder was reset by the practitioner, the pain went away and never came back. And if it
Mm.
did, and those symptoms came up, that was a sign for me to reflect and be aware of where are my thoughts, where's my energy going, what am I putting into my body, because that has an effect on us too. And it was just all this stuff. So I worked with my practitioner for almost 3 years. I I wanted to get it all gone. And so, but it's layers. It's just like peeling the onion. We'll peel off a layer and we'll be doing fine for a while and then here comes some other stuff. And it's time to work through that stuff and then here comes some more and some more. And then we learn to identify and become aware of what's happening and we really start in tuning into our body, into our emotions, into our thoughts. And so I normally work with clients for 10 weeks in the beginning, and then we kind of go from, after that 10-week, we evaluate. And it's usually working with them once a week, sometimes in the beginning if somebody's has a lot of trauma or going through a really bad breakup relationship or
Mhm.
even grief from losing somebody dear to them, they may need a little bit more in the beginning, and then we can spread out those sessions, in between that we don't meet so often.
Mhm.
And it just varies. Everybody's different. There's no set stone on how fast or how quickly this is going to go. Or, even if you're going to have a breakthrough right away. It just is a matter of being open and allowing yourself and giving yourself permission that it's safe and it's okay to not carry that burden or that baggage around any longer.
You know, in this world the way it is right now, that just seems like such an important thing, that we're the energy is shifting on the planet. It is time to let go of all this old stuff that we carry.
Mm-hmm.
And just I had a dream one night where I was walking down this road and I was literally carrying luggage, and I just set it down and kept going. And it was the same feeling in my dream of just, it's so
Yeah.
much better. It's so much lighter. And,
Yes. Yeah.
and it's
Wow.
that, yeah, we cannot stress enough how important that is, because
Yeah.
yeah, people who think everything is just physical, run to the doctor for every little thing, are missing out on a big opportunity for healing.
They are. They are.
Healing.
And I talk to a lot of people. Um, I go to a lot of networking events and I go to a lot of wellness events here in Nashville area, and just talking to people, and people are really seeking for help. They're really seeking for alternative health because they are so tired of taking prescriptions, and they're so tired of this, that, and the other thing. And then you have a whole group of people who are glued to the TV to find out what new prescriptions available. And maybe I got that symptom and I got to go, I got to go take that
Yeah,
drug. And I'm like, oh no.
I know. My I I'm the black sheep of my family, my whole extended family, because I'm the one that's like this, and they're all, "What do you mean you didn't go to the doctor when you had that headache?"
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that would have made it worse. I
Right.
can get I know how to heal it.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I know. I don't understand that either, but people, our audience who's watching this show, we are there's no one right path. It's what feels right to you, that resonates with you,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever form of, but emotional healing
Mm-hmm.
is an essential piece. However you find that,
Right.
great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's really fun to explore and really kind of get to know yourself again and get to know like who you are and what your purpose is
Mhm.
and what are your dreams and your desires, what kind of life do you want? And you can have anything you want if you just allow yourself that time to really dig inward and find out, because could be in a job that you're doing for, 20 years and it's just this routine going on and going on and going on. But what if you woke up going, I think I want to do something different? And and I was a cake decorator for almost 25 years. And so I was working and decorating cakes and thought this was going to be great. And I loved it because I could be creative and made people happy. And and then, and then I felt imbalanced. And that's when I sought out, alternative methods
Mhm.
and alternative ways of healing. And when I did, I had to learn how to do that for others. And so I'm not just an emotion code practitioner. I'm also a quantum living advocate and do frequency medicine. And I also have a phototherapy technology that helps your body energy flow and helps restore the energy and vitality and things like that. And so I have almost a full service practice where I can help anybody wherever they're at, whether it's they are looking for, healing this way, or if they need sound therapy along with color therapy, or if they need, they're like, I don't want any of that. That's kind of, snake oil and voodoo and things like that.
Hey, well, Julianne, it's really interesting talking to you. How can people find you?
Well, that's a good question.
Do you have a website or an email address?
My email address just popped up on the screen. It's healthreimagined23@gmail.com. And then there's my number. You're free to text me for more information. I have a hello card, which I can send you the link to that gives you a little bit more explanation of what I have. My website is down for remodeling because I have added a lot of different things to my practice, or my, I don't know what you want to call it, practice clinic services, and all. But what's lovely about all this, it can all be done virtually. So you don't have to live in Nashville. You can live anywhere in the world, and we can do this just like we're doing this interview tonight.
Everything's energy.
Everything is
Is
energy.
not limited. Yes.
No.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show. I know you had some tech problems at the beginning, but hey, it all worked out.
Hey, here I am. I made it. I figured it out. I conquered. I empowered it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christy.
And everybody stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Bye. Thank you.
Hello. We are Mutts and Meows Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mutts and Meows Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mutts and Meows Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mutts and Meows Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Chronic Healthy Life show. And today was all about energy, and it's great, because when it comes to energy, sometimes things don't just always work out. Like, we were so worried we were going to have a guest, but everything worked out, right? That's the great thing about energy. We're both passing our good energy to make sure everything connects the way it did, and then we got her on the show, and that was really quite awesome.
That's interesting. One of the fun things we did over the weekend is, do some predictions for the future. What's going to happen in 2024? And of course, people are saying, "Oh, S&P is going to hit 10,000, or gold price is going to go through 5,000, or whatever it is." So, gas is going to be like $10 a gallon. Who knows? But the point being, all these things you say, they're not in your control. It's not something that you can control. It's not something that is in that you can make a difference in your life. So when you're doing a prediction for the future, rather than doing something like that, do a prediction for your future. What does your 2024 is going to look like? And when Christy talk about insanity, and of course it's doing the same thing all over and expecting different results.
Exactly.
Right? So it's something that you have to change if you want a different result. So 2024 is coming, and what are you going to change?
Well, exactly. You need to take action, right? And things that are in motion stay in motion, right? So I think it's important to take that first step, take action towards what you want to do for the new year. And so next week we're gonna have an amazing guest, youngest artist I ever met. I think she was only 16, turning 17. Brittany Barney. She just released her book too on Facebook. I'll be sharing that soon. But yeah, she's going to be on here next week to share her mission to the world, why she wrote the book. It's going to be so exciting.
Awesome. So join us back here next Friday, 7 p.m. CST. You can watch all past episodes on e360.com in the Vitality TV network. And, if you have anything to say to us, just, email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.